It's the beginning of the year, and maybe some of you started out the beginning of this year like I did, watching TV, watching poor Dick Clark try to stumble through another year. And it was a little sad. You're all hopeful for the new year to start, and then there's Dick Clark, who's going to be dealing with the same things in 2011 as he did in 2010. It was a little interesting, this way to start the new year. This man who's obviously had a stroke and who is pretty severely handicapped in his speech, counting down the new year. I thought, what an interesting choice to remind us that this new year is pretty much going to be the same as the old one. 2010 was an interesting year for a lot of us. Definitely interesting, not necessarily in a good way. It began with financial issues for a lot of us. It ended, for me, with surgery. And if there's one thing a pastor doesn't want to have in December, it's surgery. Not a great time, especially a pastor with small children. And so that was kind of my 2010. And so when I look forward to 2011, I got to say, like maybe some of you, I don't know if I was that hopeful. And then there's Dick Clark bringing me down yet again with his countdown. I thought, what is this year going to bring? And then I read this gospel, and this is the beginning of John's gospel. It's the very beginning. In the beginning, he says. And you know that's not an accident. In the beginning of the new year, in the beginning of the Bible, in the beginning of John's gospel, the very first words are, of course, in the beginning. That's where you got to start. So when you go back to the beginning of the Bible, which I think is a good thing to do in this new year, but it's just in case you try, it's really hard to read it straight through. If that's a New Year's resolution, usually bogged down in around numbers. So try to break it up a little bit if that's your New Year's resolution. But if you start in the beginning, it says, in the beginning. In the very beginning, God said, let there be light, and there was light. And you could kind of stop there. I mean, the rest of the Bible has this whole story of God, but it's all about let there be light. And there was light in the darkness. And then when you go back to the beginning of John's gospel, this great place to start, John wants to get something out of the way in the very beginning, just like the beginning of Genesis. It's kind of like, if you're giving a speech or, I don't know, a sermon, and you want to say, if you don't hear anything else, just hear this. This is what John wants to get out of the way. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. That's what John wants to get out of the way. That's his main point. He could stop right there, too. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. I could live for a long time knowing that. There are all these stories that John goes into after that about how all of this happens, about how there was someone who came to testify to the light, and his name was John, no relation that they know of. Someone who came to testify to the light, and Jesus' ministry, and his death, and his resurrection, and all of those things that John would talk about. But first, the only thing you can see that's what he's leading up to. That's his big statement. That's the beginning, and it's also the end, and it's pretty much everything. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And so if you had a year like I did, maybe you can hold on to this as well. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Maybe in the dramatic reading, you heard the reader say, the darkness has not understood it. This is one of those cool words in Greek. I remember Pastor Grunke a while ago said he looked up the word hate because he wanted it to mean something else, but it just meant hate. It's kind of a bummer when you look that up. But this word is not like that. This word can mean all kinds of things, and they're all really wonderful. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not understood it. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The darkness has not overshadowed it. The darkness has not caught it. The darkness has not grasped it. All of these things that the darkness has not done, that helps us out. That helps me out to know, going into a new year, that the light still shines. And while there is darkness, there still is darkness. The darkness has not overcome it. On January 1st, I got up and read the paper because I thought maybe, I don't know, the light would be shining so brightly that there wouldn't be any darkness. But, of course, there was. You might have read that too. There was a bombing here. There was this thing here. There was this thing here. That they're trying to talk about the economy. They're trying to talk us all in that it's going to be better. And I hope that it is, and I pray that it is. But we know, even if it's not, the light shines in the darkness. And the darkness, which is still there on the front page of the paper and all through it, has not overcome it. That changes everything. I really think it does. When I was doing this, I know that a lot of you have had worse than this, but for me it was kind of a big deal. I had this surgery, and it was a cancer scare. It could have been cancer, and it wasn't, and I'm very grateful. But to do that in December, to go through that in December, that was some darkness. And so to have the lights lowered on Christmas Eve and to come back today and every Sunday, every day of this new year, and to know that there is darkness. Of course there is. All those things that we go through, to know that it's there, but that the light shines and the darkness has not overcome it. That changes everything for us. That helps us to look forward to this new year, not with some sense that it's going to be everything that we always wished it would be, but that the light still shines. The light still shines, and the darkness has not overcome it. We can know that the darkness has not understood it. The darkness has not comprehended the light. And so that changes things too. If you think about the darkness not understanding the light, that helps us maybe have compassion for the darkness. That helps us say, the darkness just hasn't understood it. These things in our world that we're afraid of, the darkness has not comprehended what the light is all about. And so that changes things. That helps us to want to shine the light of Jesus a little brighter, so that maybe some piece of the darkness this year will understand it, will come to know it, will comprehend the beauty that is the light of Jesus. All of these things have changed us this year. And so we know that the light shines in the darkness. The darkness has not, will not, did not, that's another word that can go on and on. The darkness has not, will not, should not, cannot overcome it, has understood it, has comprehended it, has overshadowed it, and nor will it. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Amen.